Alright, so this is it, our final advanced montage tutorial. We hope that you've seen the other tutorials, and if you haven't, we invite you to do so. This last tutorial is great because we're going to give you some tips and tricks that will hopefully take your writing to a whole new level. So let's get at it. Now, as opposed to the other programs, Montage allows you to keep all of your revisions in the same file. No more confusing multiple file names. You can save your first draft, second draft, and every other draft all the way up to the shooting script in the same file. It's great stuff. Now, we promised in the last tutorial that we would revisit the outline view, and that's for a good reason. It's here that we track our revisions. Now, before you is a complete script from fade in to fade out and everything in between. So how would you mark that this is a first draft? Easy. Go over to the status column, click on the status menu, and choose first draft. Now here's a suggestion, and use whatever works for you, but I suggest that you change the status to first draft either before or after you write your scene. You can also wait until you're completely through with the first draft before you change the status. It's totally up to you. Now, chances are you're never going to settle for writing just a first draft. You're going to want to rewrite it and revise it, but if you're in just one file, how do you make changes to your scenes without overwriting them? Simple, by duplicating the scene and changing the status. Now let's change the scene we want to rewrite and either choose Insert, Duplicate Scene, or choose Command-Shift-D on our keyboard. The scene has been duplicated. Next, let's mark that duplicate scene as a second draft. Great, now click on the arrow icon to go into Scenes View and make some revisions. Finally, let's go back into Outline View. Okay, so now we have a first draft and a second draft of a script. Now, how do we separate the two drafts? It's easy using Smart Views. Let's open Smart Views. Click on the View menu and choose New Smart View, or click on the gear icon at the bottom of the screen and choose Add Smart View. It's your choice. The Smart Views window pops up, and this is where you can add your filter criteria. Let's say we want to print out just the second draft of our script, so let's give this Smart View a name, Second Draft. Next, we want to show all of the scenes in the second draft, so let's click on the Show Items From menu and choose Scenes. Now let's build our filter. Click on the plus button. Here you'll see three areas to build your filter. The first area is the subject area. The second area is the comparison area, and the third area is where you add your criteria. Let's work from left to right. Click on the subject menu, and since we're pulling the information from status, choose status. Next, let's add our comparison. This is pretty straightforward. Let's use the is comparison. Finally, let's choose our criteria. Click on the menu and select your criteria. In this case, the criteria is second draft. Now Montage goes through and pulls all of the scenes that fit that criteria. Let's click the close button. Now don't worry, you haven't lost any work. All you're seeing are those things that are marked as a second draft. Now you can print your script. Let's simulate printing the script by printing it in a PDF format. Choose File, Print, and then Preview. Now we're going to take this a step further. This is invaluable for a screenwriter, and that's the ability to mark and display just your A story or just your B story so that you can focus on continuity and therefore strengthen your overall story. As far as I'm concerned, this is pure gold. To do that, we need to mark our scenes through the use of keywords. Click on the Add Keyword button, then go down to the keyword area and type in your keyword. In this case, it will be A story. Now go through the rest of your script and add your A story keyword. After you add your keyword once, you'll be able to choose it from a pull-down menu. Now let's create a Smart View so that we just see our A story. First, let's give our Smart View a name. Let's call it A story. Next, since we want the scenes to be displayed, let's choose Scenes. Next, click on the plus button to add the filter. Let's open up the subject menu. Since A story is a keyword, let's choose Keywords. Next, let's click on the Comparisons menu. For this comparison, let's use Contains. Finally, go over to the menu in the Criteria column and choose A story. Okay, hold on just a second though. We need to choose whether we want the first or the second draft. So click on the plus button, go up and choose Status, Is, and then go over and choose first draft or second draft, whatever you want. And there you have it. You can also mark your A story using Smart Views by filtering on your protagonist's name. Let's add a Smart View and give it a name. Let's call it Protagonist. Now we just want a list of scenes, so that will come from Outline View. Now click the plus button. In this script, our protagonist is Cody. So let's go up to the subject menu, choose Characters, then go over to the Comparisons and choose Contains, and then let's go choose Cody. Now that we have a list of all those scenes in which Cody appears, we can go through and mark our A story accordingly. Now keep in mind that this may not always work with all scripts, especially when your A story and your B story intersect. We're going to do one last Smart View, and this one's going to be a challenging one. Now, what if you wanted to pick and choose between scenes regardless of their revision level? For instance, you might like the first draft of one scene, but then you might like the third draft of another scene. You can solve this problem by assigning a keyword. You could call this keyword best version or whatever you like. All you have to do is go through your scenes, decide which version you like the best, and then add the keyword best version to those scenes. Once you add the keyword, then you can run your Smart View based on the keyword. Let's call this best version. Now, since we want the scenes, of course, we're going to choose scenes. Next, click on the plus button. Let's go up to our menus and first choose Keywords, then choose Contains, and finally choose Best Version. And there you go. There's one last thing I'd like to mention about Smart Views and keywords, and that is you're not limited to what I've shown you here. This is actually a very powerful tool when it comes to breaking down a script and tagging things such as props or sound effects or the level of a role such as lead or supporting. Really, when it comes to Smart Views and keywords, the possibilities are enormous. Just use your imagination. Okay, so that's it for the advanced montage tutorials for now. We thank you for joining us and we hope that you've learned a lot in this series. Please feel free to contact us with any questions that you might have and also consult the help section of the software. It's there to help you. We wish you the best. Have a good one and write some good stuff today.